Alright, picture this, mate. You're standing in your kitchen, 34 years old, decent job, decent partner, decent life. Honestly, things look pretty good on paper, and yet, somehow, without one single dramatic moment, without one bad decision you can actually point a finger at, you check your bank account and go, where did it all go? No crash, no redundancy, no disaster, just gone. And here's the bit that really gets me. It's not because you did something obviously stupid, mate. It's because you did 3 things that felt completely normal, completely responsible, even pretty smart at the time. And that, right there, is what makes your 30s the most dangerous decade in personal finance. Not the reckless 20s, not the desperate 50s trying to play catch-up. No, it's the 30s, when everything looks fine on the surface, and quietly isn't underneath. So today, mate, we're going to pull apart the 3 traps that catch Aussies in this exact decade, one after another, usually in this exact order, and usually without anyone even noticing until it's too late to undo cheaply. If you're in your 30s right now, or you're heading into them, stick around, because I reckon at least one of these is already sitting in your life, disguised as a good decision. Let's start with the one nobody warns you about, because it doesn't look like debt, it doesn't look like a mistake, and it definitely doesn't look dangerous. Nah, it looks like upgrading. Trap number 1, mate, is what the finance nerds call the upgrade trap. And it usually kicks off the moment your income crosses a certain line. You get a pay rise, a promotion, maybe a bonus, and almost instantly your whole life quietly recalibrates around it. The car gets newer, the apartment gets bigger, the weekend coffee somehow turns into a weekend brunch, and none of it feels excessive in the moment because, hey, you can technically afford it, or at least you can afford the repayment, and that's the trick, right there. In your 30s, you stop asking, can I actually afford this? And you start asking, can I afford the monthly repayment on this? And mate, those are 2 completely different questions with 2 completely different answers. The data on lifestyle creep shows the same pattern over and over. Income goes up a bit, and spending quietly climbs even faster. Not because people are careless, but because every upgrade feels earned. You worked hard, you got the raise, you deserve the nicer car, right? And yeah, you do deserve nice things. But here's the thing, the upgrade trap was never about whether you deserve it. It's about the fact that your savings rate, the actual percentage of what you keep, tends to drop right as your income goes up, which means the gap between what you earn and what you actually keep barely moves your entire career. That's literally how someone earning 90 grand a year and someone earning 180 grand a year can end up with almost the same net worth by 45. The second bloke didn't fail, mate. He just upgraded every single time he got the chance to, which leads us straight into trap number 2, because once your lifestyle expands, something else has to fund it once the pay rises stop keeping up. And that something, 9 times out of 10, is credit. Trap number 2 is the convenience debt spiral. And honestly, this one's sneakier than a credit card because it doesn't even announce itself as debt. It shows up as buy now, pay later on the weekly shop. It shows up as a redraw on the mortgage for a kitchen that was only ever supposed to be a small refresh. It shows up as a car loan rolled into a bigger car loan, because the old one still had 2 years left on it. Each little decision feels small, manageable, no big deal. But the danger was never any single purchase, mate. It's the stacking. By your 30s, most Aussies are juggling a handful of these small, silent repayments all at once. And because each one feels minor on its own, hardly anyone ever sits down and adds them all up to see the real number. And that's the bit that should genuinely worry you. Not the size of any one repayment, but the fact that almost nobody calculates the combined weight of all of them running at the same time. And of course, this is exactly the decade it compounds fastest in, because it's also the decade of weddings, first homes, renovations, kids, all of it arriving with its own handy financing option attached. Nobody hands you that loan application and says, mate, this is the moment your financial ceiling gets set for the next 10 years. But more often than not, that's exactly what's happening. Which brings us to trap number 3, the quiet one. The one that doesn't cost you a cent today, and that's exactly why it ends up being the most expensive of the lot. Trap number 3 is delayed investing, and it does its damage in total silence. No bill for it, no red notification, no debt collector knocking, just years quietly slipping by while you keep telling yourself you'll start investing properly once things settle down, once the mortgage feels a bit more comfortable, once the next pay rise lands. But here's the problem, mate. Your 30s are exactly the decade where compounding does its heaviest lifting, because time, not how much you chuck in, is the real engine behind long-term wealth. Someone who starts investing consistently at 30 and someone who starts at 40, putting in the exact same amount every single month, do not end up anywhere near the same spot by retirement. That 10-year head start can end up worth more than everything the late starter puts in for the rest of their working life combined, purely because of how compounding speeds up in the later years of a long timeline. So every year you push it back doesn't just cost you that year's contribution, it costs you the version of that contribution that would have kept growing for 30 years instead of 20. That's exactly why delayed investing is the most dangerous trap of the three. It never feels urgent, right up until the moment it's mathematically too late to fix. So here's the uncomfortable pattern running through all three of these, mate. The upgrade trap raises your spending. The convenience debt spiral finances the gap that creates. And delayed investing means there's nothing left over to actually build wealth while all of that's going on. They're not three separate problems, mate. They're one problem, wearing three different outfits, and your 30s are exactly when all three of them show up to the same party. Now here's the good news. Once you can actually see the pattern, it's very hard to unsee. And honestly, that's the whole point of naming it. You don't need some dramatic financial overhaul to break out of this. You just need to interrupt one link in the chain. Slow the upgrades down even slightly. Add up every small repayment you're currently juggling, so the real number stops hiding in plain sight. And start treating investing as something that begins now, with whatever amount you can manage, rather than something that starts later, at some imaginary point when life finally feels ready. Because mate, it's never gonna feel perfectly ready. That's not a flaw in your planning, that's just what your 30s are like for pretty much everyone. So if you're in this decade right now, don't panic. And definitely don't go comparing yourself to anyone else's highlight reel while you're doing this. Just take an honest look at your own three traps. Chances are, at least one of them is already quietly running in the background of your life. And now, mate, you know exactly what it looks like. If this video helped you spot something in your own finances, do me a solid. Hit like, subscribe Aussie Wealth, and turn on notifications so you catch the next one before the next trap catches you.